जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण।
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So today is Wednesday. It is the 8th of January 2025. It is Narayana Masa, or Paushya Masa, Sukla Paksham, and then Navami and Dasami Tithi. Both these are falling on the same day, but no Vaishnava events. But tomorrow is Ekadasi, not suitable for fasting. Friday is the fasting day. Okay, so apart from that, no events today. So we shall quickly move into our daily Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudeva. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudeva. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudeva. Hare Krishna. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, Sukadeva Goswami is speaking on the 10 characteristics of Srimad Bhagavatam, Puranam Dasarakshanam, Atra Sarga Visargasha, Sthanam Poshanam Bhutayah, Manvantara Ishanukata, Nirodha Mukti Ashrayah. So these 10 topics. So yesterday he was mentioning about the Abhashasya Nirodhasya Yataha Tat Yato Asti Adhyavasiyate Sa Ashraha Param Brahma Paramatmiti Sabhyate. So the shelter for all these 10 topics, 10 characteristics. Sa Ashraha Param Brahma. So the Param Brahma, he is also called Paramatma. Paramatmiti Sabhyate. He is called Param Brahma, Paramatma. In this way, he is addressed. And Prabhupada has vividly explained from Bhagavad Gita, Brahma Samhita, and Srimad Bhagavatam from the various quotations that Krishna is the at the last. So there are many words like Purusha, Vishnu, or Narayana, but the last word is Krishna. Krishna is the shelter of everyone. Aham sarvasya prabhavaha mattat sarvam pravartate. So likewise, Sukadeva Goswami is mentioning the Ashraya Tattva. So today, further he is explaining about the different living entities and their characteristics. So he mentions talking about Adi Adhyatmik, Adhyatmikaha and Adi Daivikaha and Adi Bhautikaha. So likewise, three characteristics he is mentioning. So the individual living entity who is controlled, he is called Adhyatmik, and the living entity who is the controller is the demigods. So they are the controllers of different senses and different activities. They're the controllers. They're all called Adi Daivik. And then whatever can be seen with our material and naked eyes, it is Adi Bhautik. Likewise, Sukadeva Goswami is mentioning what are the differences between the Adi Adhyatmik, Adi Daivik, Adi Bhautik. Also, he is mentioning. Okay, we are in the Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto, chapter 10, verse number 8. यो आध्यात्मिकोऽयं पुरुषः सो असौ एव आदिदैविकः यस्तत्रो भयविच्छेदः पुरुषो ह्यादिभौतिकः यो आध्यात्मिक अयं पुरुषः. So one who adhyatmikaha is the possessed of the sense organs. This is the living entity who wanted to experience these sense pleasures. He will take the one particular type of body given by the material nature. So that person is called Adhyatmikaha. He is possessed of sense organs. So this Purushaha, he is a personality, individual person. So adhyatmiko ayam purushah. So asau eva adidaivikah. So asau also that person, so asau eva, he is also adidaivikah. Adidaivikah is the controlling deity. He is also a purusha. Adhyatmika is also purusha. Adidaivik also purusha. यो आध्यात्मिकोऽयं पुरुषः सो असौ एव आदिदैविकः is also purusha. So two living entities, a controlled person and a controller, both are the purushas. यो आध्यात्मिकोऽयं पुरुषः सो असौ एव आदिदैविकः. यस्तत्र उभय विच्छेदः. यस्तत्र, that which there, ubhaya of both of them, controlled and controller, both of them, ubhaya vichchedaha, they are the separation. So there are two different personalities, purushaha, two different persons. And he adibhautikaha, adibhautikaha is also, it is mentioned the visible body or the embodied living entity. So whatever can be seen, we see. Without the material body, our eyes cannot perceive. So this is called adibhautikaha, the which can be seen by the naked eyes, is the visible body, embodied living entity. It is adibhautik. So likewise, he is speaking on the three different things: adhyatmic and adidaivik, adibhautik. यो आध्यात्मिकोऽयं पुरुषः सो असौ एव आदिदैविकः. यस्तत्रो भयविच्छेदः पुरुषो ह्यादिभौतिकः. So translation: the individual person possessing different instruments of senses is called adhyatmic person, and the individual controlling deity of the senses is called adidaivik. The embodiment is seen on the eyeballs, so with our eyes, which can be seen through our eyes, that seen on the eyeballs is called the adibhautik person. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay, so can I request Usha Mataji to read this letter, please? Sorry, purport, please.
Okay, Prabhu, Hare Krishna. The supreme controlling Saman Bonam is the personality of Godhead. It is planetary portion of permanent Paramatma, or the super soul manifestation. In the Bhagavad Gita 10.42 it said, Atva Bahu Naite Na Kimta Kim Kim Chaitena Tavajuna Visthavyam Idam Krishnam Eke Swamstito Jagat. All the controlling deities like Vishnu, Brahma, and Shiva are different manifestations of the Paramatma, feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, who exhibits himself in such manner by entering into each and every universe generated from him. But still, apparently, there are divisions of the controller and control. For example, in the food controlling department, the controller of food is a person made of the same ingredients as the person who is controlled. Similarly, each and every individual in the material world is controlled by the higher demigods. For example, we have our senses, but the senses are controlled by superior controlling deities. We cannot see without light, and the supreme controller of light is the sun. The sun god is in the sun planet, and we, the individual human beings, or any other being on this earth, are all controlled by the sun god as far as our eyes are concerned. Similarly, all the senses we have controlled by the superior demigods who are also as much living entities as we are, but one is empowered while one other is controlled. The controlled living entities is called the Adhyatmic person, and the controller is called the or con- controller is called the Devi person. All these positions in the material world are due to different repetitive activities. Any individual living being can become the sun god or even Brahma or any other god in the upper planetary system by a higher grade of pious work. And similarly, one becomes controlled by the higher demigods by lower grades of fruitive activities. So every individual living entity is subject to the supreme control of the Paramatma, who puts everyone in different position of the controller and the control. That which distinguishes the controller and controlled the material body is called the uh, Adhyatmic, Adibhautik Purusha. The body is sometimes called Purusha, is confirmed in the Vedas in the following hymns. Sa Savai is Purusho na Rasa Mayaha. This body is called the Anna Rasa embodiment. This body depends on food. The living entity which is embodied does not eat anything. However, because the owner is spirit in essence, the material body requires replacement of matter uh, for the wearing and tearing of the mechanical body. Therefore, the distinction between the individual entity and controlling planetary details. In the Anna Rasamaya body, the sun may have a gigantic body and the man may have a smaller body. But all these visible bodies are made of matter, and nonetheless, the sun god and the individual person who are related as the controller and the controlled are the same spiritual parts and parcels of the Supreme Being, and it is the Supreme Being who places different parts and parcels in different positions. And thus, the conclusion is that the Supreme Person is the Sultan of all. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Thank you, Mataji. So here, Prabhupada is mentioning again, for everything is the Krishna is the shelter. So again, for everything out of those things, speaking on the three different kinds of personalities here. One is the Adhyatmika Purusha, and another one is second one is the Adi Daivik Purusha. Number three is Adi Daivik Purusha. So out of these three Purushas, Adhyatmik is the individual living entity, and Adi Daivik is the controller deity. So one is the individual living entities, and then the which are controlled, and living entities which are controllers, and also third one is Adi Bhautik, is the matter. It is not the soul, it is the matter, the material body, mechanical body is also called Purusha, as it is mentioned, explained by Prabhupada in the letters. So for all these Purushas, only Krishna is the shelter. And here, how he is sheltered, Suprabhupada is quoting from Atava Bahunaitena Kim Jnatena Tavajjuna Vishtabhyaham Idam Krishnam Ekamshena Stito Jagat. When Krishna explaining in the Vibhuti Yoga in the 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, I am this one in each and every living entities or the opulences. Krishna mentions, I am Brahma, I am Shiva, I am Brahma, I am Indra, like that. What to speak of all these things? So just with only one single expansion, I entire entire creation is manifested, maintained, and destroyed with only one expansion. Eka amshena stito jagat. So likewise, Krishna mentions. So that means everything is resting in Krishna only. And then in further elaborating that one, so controlling deities like Vishnu, Brahma, and Shiva are different manifestations of the Paramatma feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna. who exhibits himself in such manners by entering into each and every universe generated from him. So these three principal deities, Yo Aham Cha, Girishasya Vibhu Swayam Cha, Sthiti Uddha Pralaya Hetava Atma Mohalam, Bhitva Tripad Vuruda Eka Guru Pravaha, Tasmai Bhagavato Bhonadhrumaya. So the Brahma prayers to Garbhodak Sai Vishnu is the mentioning Bhonadhrumaya. You are the universal tree. For that one, there are three branches, Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwara. One for the creation and maintenance and destruction. But Krishna is the only, and also in one statement, when the Lord has appeared for all the demigods in the Daksha Yajna with all his 8 hands and appearing with all his Pashvadas, at that time he mentions to Dakshapati that, "O Daksha, so you have done some kind of offenses to Lord Shiva, but actually what you need to remember, though I am the Lord of everyone, though I am the Paramatma of everyone, I'm supreme, though I am the supreme personality of Godhead, though but my functions are Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara. So you should not see a difference when you are treating them because they are all my expansions." So likewise, he also mentions one statement there. But we always worship the Lord, who is the supreme personality of Godhead. Just like whenever Gajendra is addressing him, I am worshipping the God who is maintaining, who is destroying, and who is the source of everything. I am worshipping that supreme personality of Godhead without mentioning the name of the Lord. So that is the Gajendra's prayers. Okay, so but still here, still apparently there are divisions of controller and controlled. So, and Prabhupada is saying controller and controlled. Example in the food controlling department. So, explaining that food controller of food is a person of the same ingredients as person who is uh, con- and the person who is controlled. Similar. So that means everyone are made up of the Panchbhutas, but in a different quantities. If Brahma's body is made up of in a different ingredients in different proportions. Our human bodies are made up of different proportions, and whereas demigod bodies are made up of different proportions. But everyone are having the similar kind of ingredients. So this is Prabhupada is explaining here. But sometimes one person is called controlled and another person is controller according to their grades based on their pious activities. And also here explaining we cannot see without light, and the supreme controller of light is the sun. So the sun god is in the sun planet, and we, the individual human beings or other beings on this earth, are all controlled by sun god as far as our eyes are concerned. And similarly, the senses we have are controlled by superior demigods. So we have got all the senses, the starting from the sound, and then ears, and then for them is the Digdevatas. And then sense of touch and the skin, and which is that preceding deity is the this Vayu Deva. And then number 3 is the fire and the form, and the controlling deity is the sun god, or even the form. The fire is also the fire god. So, and where we can see the form. And the number 4 is the water and the taste. The preceding deity is the Varuna. And the fifth is the smell, and the nose and controlling deity is the Ashwini Kumaras. So likewise here demigods and also the senses and the Jatmic person who is having senses are all Purushas, all the living entities. So here who are also as much living entity as we are, but one is empowered while the other is controlled. One person is different functions. And the controlled living entity is called Adhyatmic person, and the controller is called the Adi Daivik person. All these positions in the material world are due to different fruitive activities. Any living individual living entity being can become the sun god or even Brahma or any other god in upper planetary system by higher grade of pious work. So just like if one performs his duties for so many lifetimes, he can become a Brahma, something like that. It is mentioned in the scriptures. And similarly, and one who performs 100 Ashwamedha yajnas, he can become a occupy the position of Indra. And similarly, one becomes controlled by the higher demigods by lower grades of the fruitive activities. Just like if you are working very hard, and then we will given a position like a manager or CEO, something like that. Otherwise, one who is not very well, then he has to work like a kind of a small jobs under the manager. It's kind of that. So every living entity is subject to the supreme controller of the Paramatma, who puts everyone in different positions of the controller and the controlled. Tam jiva karma padivim anuvartamanaha tapatriyo kshamanaya vayam bhajema. So this is tam jiva karma padivim anuvartamana. The Lord arranges all the living entities in their positions according to their pious work. And so that which distinguishes the controller and control, that is the material body. So as long as we have got bhutendri antahkaranat pradhana jiva sanjitat, we have got the senses to experience these pains and pleasures. So now we are controlled by the material body. And also it is material body is called Adi Bhautik. So it is also called Purusha. So the body is sometimes called Purusha. See, though it is not a mm, living entity, though it is the matter, is called Purusha as confirmed in the Vedas in the following hymn. Sava Sava Yesha Purusho Anna Rasamayah. Anna Rasamayah. So this body is called the Anna Rasa embodiment. This body needs to be nourished. If it is not nourished, it will be wear and tearing, that kind of thing. So the body depends on food. The living entity which is embodied does not eat anything. Soul does not need any materialistic things to eat. But whereas material body requires some kind of nourishment, maintenance. However, because the owner is spirit in essence, the material body requires replacement of matter for the wearing and tearing of the mechanical body. This is again Ishvara Sarvabhutanam Hruddheshe Jnatistati. Brahmayan Sarvabhutani Yantra Rodani Maya. This is the Yantra. It's a mechanical body. Yantra Rodani Maya. It is always controlled by the controller. So therefore, the distinction between the living entity, individual living entity, and the controlling planetary deities in the Annarasa Maya body. Controlling planetary deities is in the Annarasa Maya. So our body is controlled by so many demigods. But we think that we are the controller. We are always wishing the Lord is supervising as a Paramatma, and He's all other demigods are doing their functions. The sun may have gigantic body and the man may have a smaller body, but all these visible bodies are made of matter. See, this is all bodies. So starting from the Brahma down to insignificant living entities like ants, everything are having a material bodies made up of matter. Nonetheless, the sun god and the individual person who are related as the controller and control are the same spiritual parts and parcels of the supreme being. We are all aham ममैवांशु जीवलोके जीवभूतः सनातनः Manasastani prakristani karshati. Though we are the living entities, we come to this material world taking the senses, and then prakristani karshati, we struggle for the existence because of the unlawful desires. Unnecessarily we come here and then struggle. Prakristani karshati. Karshati is the struggling for the living entity, sustenance. So, and it is the same Supreme Being who places different parts and parcels in different positions. And thus, conclusion is that the Supreme Person is the shelter of all. He is the shelter of all. Ashraya. So, he is Prabhupada is bringing again all topic needed to pointing to Krishna. So, this one also when Arjuna, similar kind of conversations. Arjuna was inquiring from Krishna that what is called Adhyatma, Kim Tad Brahma, Kim Adhyatmam, Kim Karma Purushottama, Adibhutam cha Kim Proktam, Adidhaivam Kim Uchyate. See, he's asking so many questions. What is Brahman? What is the self? What are fruitive activities? What is the material manifestation? And what are the demigods? So, can you please explain all these things to me? Likewise, when he was asking, so Krishna was explaining that Aksharam Brahma Paramam Swabhavo Adhyatmam Uchyate Bhuta Bhavotpavo Karo Visargaha Karma Sanjitaha. The living entity, Aksharam Brahma Paramam. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is the Brahma, Param Brahma. And the Swabhava Adhyatmam Uchyate. And then further he is speaking about the living entities, the self, individual living entities. And also both bhavat bhavakaro, both bhavat bhavakaro. This is the like uh, they get the material bodies for their fulfilling their desires. Both bhavat bhavakaro, visargaha karma sanjitaha. That is called kind of a uh, Visargaha, it is a secondary creation, fruitive activities, karma sanjitaha. And then he explains, and further there, Prabhupada mentions that the process of explaining the sacrifice, and also there, Adi Adhyatmik, Adi Bhautik, Adi Daivik, Adi Yajnaha. Adi Yajnaha also, Adi Yajna is the Lord of all the sacrifices. And within that process, the living entity, he performs some kind of sacrifice to uh, for the pleasure of Vishnu. So there, that process he mentioned, in the process of sacrifice, the living entity makes specific sacrifices to attain specific heavenly planets and consequently reaches them. When the merit of sacrifice is exhausted, the living entity descends to this earth in the form of rain, then takes in the form of grains, and the grains are eaten by man and transformed into semen which impregnates a woman, and thus the living entity once again attains the human form to perform sacrifice, and so repeat the same cycle. In this way, the living entity perpetually comes and goes on the material path. So, just what I was trying to say here is the sacrifices, and then through the sacrifices rains come, and the living entities comes from the rains, and then they will be nourishing the plants, the seeds, and then seeds will be eaten by the man, and whenever man eats those souls, they will be mm, turned into the semen of the man, and then that semen is impregnated into the woman. You see, the cycle is perfectly maintained. And then, so there Krishna also mentions this Adibhotam Charo Bhavaha Purushascha Adidaivatam Adiyajno Aham Yevatra Dehe Deha Bhutamvara. So there the Lord mentions, O best of the embodied beings, the physical nature which is constantly changing is called Adibhota. So this is Adibhota. This is called here in the mentioned, this is the Annarasamaya, Adibhota. Saeva Yesha Purusho Annarasamaya. So that is the called Adibhuta, the material manifestation. The universal form of the Lord, which includes all demigods like those of the sun and moon, is called Adi Daiva. Adi Daiva. And I, the Supreme Lord, represented as a super soul in the heart of every embodied being, am called Adi Yajna, the Lord of the sacrifice. So this is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita 8th chapter, verses 3 to 4, about this Adi Adhyatmik, Adi Bhautik, Adi Daivik. And here the same thing is explaining, Sukadeva Goswami is explaining to Parikshit Maharaj about the, so Adhyatmikoyam Purushaha, so Aso Eva Adi Daivikaha, Yastatra Uvai Vichedaha Purusho Hyadi Bhautikaha. Is talking about the three Purushas, Adi Adhyatmik, Adi Daivik, Adi Bhautik. Adi Bhautik is the matter, it's the mechanical body, that is also called Purusha according to this one, Vedas. Adi Bhautik Purusha. Okay, so that is from this particular verse and from Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam ke jai. Okay, so we shall quickly move into our Srila Prabhupada's daily letter. Okay, so today letter to Yamunacharya, June 17th, 1970, Los Angeles. Can I request any unallocated devotee to read this small letter only? Jagriti Tanamataji, would you like to read?
Yes, Prabhuji. But as I'm reading on the phone, this might be take a little bit longer. Is my dear Yamuna Keria, please accept my blessing. I beg to thank you for your letter, dated Neil. You write to say how you were saved. Sorry, how you were saved from a community of suicide. So you have seen the mantra in Isopanish said, Ye ke Khatma Hanno Janaha. So not only you, but almost all the conditioned soul within this material world, practically 99% of the whole population is committing suicide, as it is natural for a gentleman to try to stop a person committing suicide when it is so happens just in one's presence. Similarly, when we see that so many men and women are simply committing suicide as described in the Isopanisad, A.K. Kamanta, sorry, A.K. Katma Heno Janaha. Let us try to save them through this Krishna consciousness movement. I am very glad that you are going with Krishnananda Maharaja to colleagues. So try to understand the philosophy nicely and spread it to your best capacity so that this suiciding men can be saved as far as possible. It is not, however, possible to check the suiciding policy of the modern society. But my Guru Maharaja used to say that if they could save one person, then he would consider his mission successful. Similarly, if we individually could save at least one person, many of the suicide men can be saved. So so do your best, and Krishna will give you a necessary intelligence and help, and try to push on this movement as far as possible. Hope this will meet you in good health. Your ever well wisher, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, read nectar of the division repeatedly. ACBS dash DB.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much.
Forgive me for any mistake on this letter reading.
You read nicely, Mataji. Any takeaway points, Mataji, wanted to mention?
Sorry?
You wanted to mention any points, Mataji, in this Prabhupada's letter? Highlight.
Yeah, is Prabhupada basically saying, the many people is suicide in, I don't know how to pronounce the country name. Is a country name, yeah? A.K. Kantma.
This is Eke Chatma Hanojanaha. So people are suiciding.
Anujaha.
Yeah.
Yeah, here is so many people is just suiciding. 99%. 99%. At least we can save one of them. Prabhupada said is if he can save one of them to stop suicide, then at least his mission is successful. Then we all can, if save 1%, then his many will saved. That's my understanding, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji. Okay, any other points, dear devotees, you wanted to add to this letter? Okay, so that is Srila Prabhupada's letter. So here, who are the people committing suicide? So this mantra mentions all the people except the Krishna conscious devotees. Because Ayurharithvai Pumsam Udhinastam Chennaso Tasyadit Kshinonita Uttama Shloka Vartaya. Except devotees of Krishna, everyone are suiciding. That means not their material bodies, actually spiritually suiciding, because they got an opportunity to elevate themselves onto the transcendental platform, but they're always trying to enjoy the senses. But on one day, this body is going to die, but they do not understand that they need to take rebirth again. That is called suicide. It is not that everyone are hanging themselves to the somewhere ceiling or somewhere. It is not like, but here, this is the spiritual suicide that Prabhupada is mentioning here. 99% of the whole population committing suicide. Very few people are spiritually inclined. So that is, even if we try to say 1%, then the mission is successful. This is the Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Goswami's mood. So this is what. Okay, so we have to always. That's why we are in Krishna conscious. Many people are preaching in different ways. So to bring the conditioned souls into Krishna consciousness, so that they will get their spiritual bodies go back to Vaikuntha. Whoever, and it is possible only by chanting 16 rounds and then following the four regulative principles, always remembering Krishna through various devotional service activities. If it is no 16 rounds and not following the regulative principles, it is very difficult. Of course, it is not go vain, it will not be wasted, but many other, again, as the cycle of birth, again, he may take birth in the pious family, something like that, yoga brasto. So that is Suchinam Srimatam Gehe, in the family of Brahmanas or any pious families, he will take birth again. But one has to complete 16 rounds, follow the regulative principles until end of life, engage in devotional service, and make this Krishna consciousness perfect. Life is perfect. That way Prabhupada is suggesting. So one need to and also help others. Check this. However, it is not possible to check the suiciding policy of the modern society. It is very difficult because due to the external energy of Maya, that is external energy of the Lord, uh, everyone are bewildered and trying to gratify their senses. This is called a disease. Amayasya sarvabhutanam jayate yena surata tadevi amayam dravyam na punati chikichitam. It is a disease. One has to engage those activities which are making him as a disease. Those activities needs to be engaged in the Krishna consciousness. Then that will turn into the medicine for his condition, materialistic condition. Then he'll become spiritualized. Okay, thank you so much, Mataji. Okay, that is from Prabhupada's letter. So Prabhupada is describing to Yamunacharya, Eke Chatma Anojanaha. Okay, that is from Prabhupada's letter. And from the announcements point of view, so today evening we have got Kirtan evening at 8:30. So I hope see you all the devotees at that 8:30 p.m. today for different Kirtans. And the devotees, if you have got any other updates or you wanted to share anything on Krishna consciousness, kindly share. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji, giving me opportunity.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
It is nice to see you and reading you this letter. Okay, there are no
Thank you.
If no updates, then we shall conclude and continue with further japa.
Hare Krishna. I just want to ask, it's like on that part, but it was mentioned that Brahmaji and everybody has to take a rebirth. So not only Shiva, isn't it?
It
Like
is
only this individual can become Brahma or anything, but on the Shiva is different.
Shiva is different.
Yeah.
Shiva is not Brahma.
No, it's not Brahma, but like Brahma, individual can take the birth of Brahma and do whatever, any. But Shiva, nobody can take birth as
Yes,
Shiva, isn't it?
yes.
It's
No
just
one can take position as Shiva, yes.
it's like Krishna and Shiva is the same. Like nobody can take.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes. The Supreme Lord, his position, and Shiva is again, it's a big topic. Shiva is not Brahma and also at the same time not Krishna as well. He is not different from Krishna, but not Krishna.
But his position is a similar. It's a Krishna. Little.
So Lord Shiva, Krishna is not position. Krishna is supreme personality. He is the enjoyer, and positions for the people who are occupying their duties, like Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, for maintaining creation and destroys. They're doing their duties, occupying their positions. But Krishna is the supreme person. He is the enjoyer.
Mm.
And out of this Brahma, Vishnu again Krishna takes as the um Sujami Tanniyuktoham Haro Harati Tadvashaha. He takes as Vishnu form to maintain. At the same time, Brahma and Shiva are in his control. And Shiva, though he appears from the Brahma, one of the sons of Brahma, is Rudra, but he is not Brahma. So, Brahmado Yetupala Yat Karanam Vishwamidam Chamaya. Even everyone hear his instructions. Yat Karanam Vishwamidam Chamaya. And so, because Lord Shiva's function is the uh, impregnating this universe with all the living entities, whatever impregnating in the sense, he is one of the functions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He collect all the souls and impregnate in the material world. Durga Devi is the mother, Lord Shiva is the father. So in such a way, they have got in different positions. Again, we would see in elaborately in the Brahma Samhita that we are going to discuss in coming weeks on Saturday mornings.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay, thank you, Mataji. Okay, so we shall conclude. वञ्चकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो
Vishnu Namo Nama Ananda Koti Vishnu Nanda Ki Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Krishna conscious day, everyone.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.